Hey and welcome to the Daily Arsenal News Show. Let's begin with our daily news. Exceptional player has now said his goodbyes to Arsenal staff. Arsenal midfielder Granit Xhaka has apparently said his goodbyes to the club's staff as he awaits being moved on this summer. Xhaka, despite having a fantastic season for the Gunners, is expected to seal a move back to Germany after it became apparent Mikel Arteta was open to moving him on, and according to the Mirror, Xhaka has even said his goodbyes to staff at a gathering following the final game of the season last weekend. The Mirror claims that while there has been some doubt created around Xhaka's situation at Arsenal, the player himself is of the belief he is moving on this summer. He has apparently said his goodbyes to a number of Arsenal staff who work behind the scenes as he anticipates his sale. Arsenal are set to shuffle the pack this summer. Mikel Arteta wants a number of new players and is open to letting Xhaka move on to make room. Arteta recently praised Xhaka for his contribution this season, admitting the Swiss star had indeed been exceptional throughout, but with the likes of Declan Rice and more wanted at Arsenal, it seems that Xhaka's days are numbered. Granit Xhaka was once the most hated man inside the Emirates, but the fact he has turned things around means he can live with his head held high. Sure, they'd have liked to have won the title, however, it was still a fine season for Arsenal overall, and Xhaka very much played his role in that season being so good. Arsenal will, of course, move on. The likes of Rice, Caicedo, and other names being linked should adequately replace players like Xhaka and even improve things. But on the whole, the midfielder can be happy with his effort in North London, and he will surely always be welcomed back in the future. Unai Emery now wants to sign magnificent Arsenal defender for Villa. Aston Villa manager Unai Emery wants to sign Arsenal star Kieran Tierney in the upcoming summer transfer window. The Spaniard signed the left back when he was at the helm at the Emirates back in 2019. Injury issues meant he could only play 9 times under Emery, but it became clear very early that he was a top player. Now, with Tierney's future up in the air, Emery is eyeing a reunion, claims The Times. Kieran Tierney signed a new long-term contract at Arsenal less than 2 years ago, but it's looking very likely that he will leave the club before the start of next season. The magnificent Scotsman, when he's fit, is up there with the best left-backs in the Premier League, but he doesn't quite fit into Mikel Arteta's system right now. The Arsenal boss prefers Alexander Zinchenko to play in that inverted fullback role, and that has resulted in limited game time for Tierney this season. That's why he is rumored to be on his way out of the Emirates this summer, and Unai Emery's side are reportedly eyeing a move to sign him. Aston Villa, however, faces strong competition from Newcastle United for his signature. In an ideal world, Arsenal would love to keep hold of Kieran Tierney. The Scotsman is a fantastic left back who is solid defensively and is one of the best crossers of the ball in the Premier League at the other end of the pitch. He is a real leader as well, and fans absolutely love him. However, a player as good as Tierney deserves to start every game. That, unfortunately for him, is not possible at Arsenal, as Zinchenko has made that role his own. Arsenal fans will hate it if Emery manages to sign Tierney this summer, but it's a very real possibility if they can beat Newcastle and meet Arsenal's demands. Pundit thinks Mikel Arteta has upset 22-year-old Arsenal player that could backfire now. Jay Bothriot believes Arsenal boss Mikel Arteta has upset William Saliba, and that is why the Frenchman is playing hardball in contract talks. The Gunners signed the talented central defender from Saint-Etienne back in 2019. He was viewed as one of the best young defenders in the world then, and he finally got the chance to prove his class in the Premier League this season. Now, Saliba is on the verge of entering the final year of his contract at Arsenal. Negotiations haven't been easy, and Bothriod thinks he knows why. Just a few months after William Saliba joined Arsenal, Unai Emery was sacked and Mikel Arteta replaced him. The Frenchman was on loan back at Saint-Étienne then, but he was set to return to Arsenal in the following summer and become a part of the first team. Arteta, however, just did not believe he was ready. He kept him at Arsenal for 6 months without giving him a chance and then sent him out on loan twice, first to Nice and then to Marseille. Both Riyad believes that upset Saliba, and that's probably why he is making things difficult in contract negotiations, the Pundit tweeted. Honestly, I think Saliba has every right to demand similar money to top Arsenal earners. It wasn't long ago that Chambers and Mari were chosen ahead of him. Arteta saying he is not progressing fast enough. That obviously upset him. Now Saliba holds the cards. You have to pay him. Saliba, 22-year-old, will enter the final year of his contract in July, and the latest we have heard is that Arsenal are shocked by his demands. If William Saliba really is upset with Mikel Arteta, this could backfire badly on the Gunners. However, after a season as good as this one, where it became clear that his loan spells at Nice and especially at Marseille really helped him become the player he is today, it doesn't make sense for him to be upset, does it? Saliba is well within his right to demand whatever he wants from Arsenal before agreeing to sign a new contract this summer. But what Arteta did to him a few years ago really shouldn't play a part in his decision making. It will be interesting to see what will happen in the coming weeks. Arsenal striker considering options ahead of summer window. Arsenal striker Folarin Balogun is considering his options ahead of the summer transfer window. That's according to Sky Sports news reporter Darmisheth, who claims the New York-born forward could push to leave the Gunners later this summer. Despite enjoying a hugely successful loan spell with League One side Stade Reims this season, Balogun, 21-year-old, who netted 21 goals in 38 games, is eager to become a team's outright striker, and is therefore not sold on the idea of spending another campaign out on loan. Understandably, still with 2 years left on his contract, the striker's future will be decided by Arsenal, so fans will have to wait to discover what the club opts for. £60 million title winner decides he has no interest in joining Arsenal. Manchester City defender Joao Cancelo has absolutely no interest in joining Arsenal or coming back to the Premier League this summer. Pep Guardiola shocked many when he allowed the Portugal international to leave the Etihad on loan in January. He joined Bayern München and won the title there, but his future is up in the air again now. Arsenal have been heavily linked with a move to sign Cancelo, but Abden's tongue have revealed this week that the Manchester City man is just not interested. Joao Cancelo was one of the best fullbacks in the Premier League under Pep Guardiola at Manchester City. The Portugal international was among the first to play that inverted fullback role, the one which Zinchenko has mastered at Arsenal. That's probably why Mikel Arteta was reportedly keen to bring Cancelo to the Emirates, but the report claims that he has absolutely no interest in that move. The defender is also not keen to come back to Manchester City this summer and wants to leave the Premier League for good before the start of next season. Bayern München have the option to sign Cancelo for £60 million this summer, but the report claims that the German champions are unlikely to trigger that. Joao Cancelo would have been a fantastic signing for Arsenal. The Gunners have had incredible luck when it comes to signing players from Manchester City. Both Jesus and Zinchenko have been fantastic for them. Cancelo would have fit into Arteta's system perfectly, and he would have surely taken the Gunners to a whole new level next season in the Premier League and Champions League. However, it doesn't look like that will happen now. Fabrizio Romano says Thomas Tuchel likes ridiculous Arsenal target. Fabrizio Romano has provided a new update on reportedly Arsenal target Dusan Vlahovic, as he claims Bayern München manager Thomas Tuchel is a fan of the striker. Arsenal want to build following a very strong season in which they finished second and challenged for the title. Next season will be the first time they are in the Champions League since 2016. The Gunners want to continue to be battling at the top of the division and want to increase their quality in attack. This has seen reports links them to £80 million striker Dusan Vlahovic. The club will be hoping that they can have a big summer and bolster the squad so that hopefully next season they can go one better and win the title. Vlahovic has massively impressed in the Serie A for both Fiorentina and Juventus. He has scored 72 goals across 171 appearances for both clubs. Romano tweeted the latest on his future. He said, Dusan Vlahovic for sure remains part of Bayern list as mentioned last week, as Thomas Tuchel is a big fan of the Serbian striker. Colomwani in the list too. Talks with Juventus are not advanced or concrete yet. It will depend on the price tag and Juve new director. Bayern München are a huge club who haven't been able to replace Robert Lewandowski ever since he left to join Barcelona. Vlahovic would be a great signing for the Gunners, but they may find it hard to compete with Bayern for the ridiculous forward. With Vlahovic still having 3 years on his contract, Juventus are in full control, and this may come down to who has the most money to offer. Arsenal are now less and less likely to sign unbelievable player. Arsenal's position in the race to sign Moses Caicedo this summer has been weakened by their persistence in January. That's according to Ben Jacobs, who stated on the Done Deal show that Arsenal may have shown their hand too soon in the race for Caicedo. As we know, Arsenal made multiple bids for the Ecuadorian in the winter, but according to Jacobs, these bids may now work against Arsenal. Indeed, after Brighton qualified for Europe and gave Caicedo a new contract, they'd be well within their rights to say that his value has gone up, and after seeing that Arsenal valued him at £70 million in January, they could ask for even more this summer. According to Jacobs, the feeling is that Arsenal's position in this race is now weaker than it was before. Jacobs shared what he knows about the unbelievable player. He said, if the same thing happens again, then I expect the fee for Caicedo to be higher than whatever McAllister goes for. If you are Arsenal and you go for Declan Rice, you best hope that deal is worth less than £100 million, because otherwise your Caicedo Rice output will be a larger chunk of your transfer budget. Arsenal have work to do. They want to consolidate their position and they need depth. It's complicated. I think they will escalate Rice and Caicedo, but make no mistake about this, Brighton aren't saying, give us this and we will sell Caicedo. If no club pushes it, then Brighton will keep the player. There is no price tag, but there is a feeling that Arsenal have weakened their position by insisting on Caicedo in January. Chelsea were smarter, with one offer that was lower, and then they walked away. If they are the only suitor, they can stick to a lower number. But if Arsenal return, there is a high probability that Brighton can say, you offered £70 million in January, he signed a new contract, we have qualified for Europe, so now you have to give us well in excess of £70 million. Arsenal now think they will sign outstanding player for less than his asking price. Arsenal genuinely think they can sign Declan Rice for less than £100 million this summer. The outstanding player has been strongly linked to Arsenal for ages now, but with West Ham reportedly looking for around £120 million for the England international, there are a few stumbling blocks to clear. However, despite West Ham's public stance being that they want more than £100 million for Rice, Arsenal genuinely think they can barter and get that deal down to below the £100 million mark. That's according to Ben Jacobs, speaking on the Don Deal show. Jacobs shared what he knows about Rice. He said, I think Arsenal are the front runners for sure because Rice would like to stay in London. The initial offer that Arsenal are preparing is for below £100 million. In the end, it won't be as much about the number as the structure. If it's £100 million, Arsenal will lean towards it being made through add-ons and bonuses. But if it's under £100 million, which is the expectation from Arsenal and other suitors, then Arsenal may have to pay more upfront. While Rice is a very talented player, surely Arsenal will be able to get this deal done for less than £100 million. Yes, West Ham will want to get value for money, but with the player's contract winding down and his desire to leave looking rather clear, it's hard to see how the Hammers will get such a massive fee for him. At the end of the day, anything in excess of £70 million would be a game changing fee for a club like West Ham, and they may have to settle for less than £100 million here. This is certainly shaping up to be the transfer saga of the summer. I will be uploading daily Arsenal news, so keep your eyes on the channel and don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate your support. Peace out.